Welcome to the Functional Fitness Assessment tutorial for the Lifelong Improvements Through Fitness Together, or LIFT program. I'm Samantha Harden, and with me today is Liv Smith, who is going to help us as we demonstrate both visually and verbally how to conduct each of the stations within our functional fitness assessment. Let's get started. One of the first things to do for your functional fitness assessment is to ensure the participant that you are going to be really enthusiastic and lively during your LIFT classes, but for the purpose of the functional fitness assessment, we won't be offering any encouragement. For example, when you're doing some bicep curls for 30 seconds, we won't say, keep going, keep it up, you're doing a great job, but rather you will just continue to count across the 30 seconds. Here's an example of how you would do that with your participant when you're conducting your functional fitness assessment. Hi, I'm Samantha.
Hi, I'm Liv. Nice to meet you.
I'm so excited that you're joining us for the Lifelong Improvements Through Fitness Together, or LIFT program. Today I'm going to be doing a couple of different stations to test lower body and upper body flexibility and strength, cardio fitness, and agility through an 8-foot up and go. I'm going to explain each of the stations as we move and progress throughout each of the stations, but I won't be able to offer encouragement. What I really want you to focus on is safety and staying within your range of motion and what you're capable of doing today just as you are. If anything ever feels uncomfortable, feel free to just opt out of it or take breaks as needed. Let's get started. The first station is the balance station. There are 6 different assessments within the balance station that are progressive. And we use the word progressive because if a participant completes the first assessment, they move on to the second and the third and so on. However, if they cannot complete the full 10 seconds of each of the assessments within this station, they do not progress on. To get started, we'll place hands on the chair. You'll bring your toes and your heels together and you'll gaze forward. When I say go, you'll release your hands from the chair and bring your palms out in front of you and then hold that for 10 seconds. So when you're ready, go. And release your hands back to the chair. So as you could see, I had my left leg a little bent so that I could be in a ready position just in case for safety. The next thing we'll do is we'll bring our toe to heel alignment in what we call a tandem stand. Hands on the chair, and when I say go, you'll remove your hands from the chair, gazing forward, palms by your side. And when you're ready, go. And release. Then come back through mountain pose, gazing forward, hand on the chair. When you're ready, start to shift your weight into one leg, and when you release your hands from the chair, I'll start the timer for 10 seconds. And release. Now we're going to come back to tandem stand, which we're familiar with, is that toe to heel alignment, hands on the chair, and then when you're ready, you'll release your hands, palms come back down by your side, but this time eyes closed. So chin and gaze is still forward, but eyes are closed. And when you're ready, begin. Release, hands to chair. Staying in the tandem stand, when you're ready, you'll release your hands from the chair, close your eyes, and gaze over left shoulder and right shoulder continuously for the 10 seconds. And when you're ready, begin. And release. The final one, we'll come back through our mountain pose. We'll have our hands on the chair, lifting one leg off the ground, then close eyes and release hands by your side for 10 seconds. And begin. Release. A couple of quick pointers for this station. If at any point they lean into the wall, they come away from the wall, or they look dizzy, you stop the clock, record how long they were able to hold that pose, and do not continue. Our next station is the 30-second chair sit and stand. First, you demonstrate for your participant, make sure that they understand what you're asking of them, and then you go ahead and let them demonstrate for 2 trials. So here's how you would do that. I'll go ahead and demonstrate the chair sit and stand. You come to the chair, cross arms over your chest. Feet are firmly planted into the earth, and you're sitting about mid or towards the front of the chair. I will start the timer and say go. You'll stand up and sit back down as many times as you can for 30 seconds, and I'll keep the timer going and take counts. We'll then give a 30-second break and do trial number 2. Any questions?
No.
All right, have a seat, arms crossed, and begin. And stop. And you give a 30-second break. Here is where they might take a sip of water or just relax before their second trial. And trial 2 begins. Go. All right, so the most important things for this station are that your chair is against the wall, so that just in case they press back, that they start middle of the chair rather than too far forward or too far back, and that hands are crossed so they're not using the leverage to stand up. You also do 2 trials with a 30-second break in between. Next station is the arm curl. So that's testing our upper body strength. We ask the participant which arm they'd like to do for the trial, so they typically choose their dominant hand or side. You indicate that on your scoring sheet for left or right, and you track that for the pre-assessment, post, and 6-month follow-up. So the other thing you do is you demonstrate how to hold the weight for your participant. So we're trying to get the full range of the bicep motion, so the weight starts facing away, and then when you cross the elbow or midway point, you bring the weight out to the side. So the fingers curl towards the chest. So you'll bring the weight up and out and back down. A couple of other really important cues that you share with your participant is to keep the elbow locked in towards the torso. So bringing the weight up and out and back down. So it's the full range of motion continuously for 30 seconds with a 30-second break, and then a second trial for another 30 seconds. Okay, the other thing you do is you encourage your participant to slide closer to the side of the chair on the arm that they will be testing. So which arm will you be using today?
I'm using my left arm.
So then I'd invite you to come towards the left side of the chair so that we can clear hip, thighs, and the chair while we're engaging in this exercise. The other thing that we invite you to do is to squat down next to your participant or grab a chair for yourself if that feels better, so that you can ensure that the elbow is close to the torso. Rather than touching our participants during their functional fitness assessment, you'd remind them by just saying elbow closer to the torso. If they continue to do any variation that isn't elbow towards the torso, don't count those reps until they return back to the proper form. And I will let you know when to begin. And begin. and stop. I'll take that from you and you get a 30-second break. We're now ready for the second trial. Here's your weight. I'll let you know when to begin. And begin. And bring elbow back towards your torso. Good. All right, torso, elbow connection. And stay within your range of motion and release. I'll take that from you. Great. So 2 trials with a 30-second break in between. The most important things about this station are that the elbow stays locked to the torso, that it's a 5-pound weight for the female participants and 8-pound weight for male participants, and that you record which arm they're using during this trial. As you could see through our demonstration, Liv was getting a little tired through the second trial and brought the elbow away from the torso or started using momentum to swing in. And you can just gently remind your participant to bring the elbow locked closer towards the torso. Our next station is the 2-minute step test. This is testing our aerobic capacity of our participants in 2 minutes. A couple of important things about this station is to ensure that the participant is lifting their knees up high enough for the count to count during the 2-minute step test. You also only count the leg that's closest to you. So in this case, it's going to be Liv's left leg or the outer leg away from the wall for me to see. And then the third piece is that in order to determine how high the knee needs to go, you can use a meter stick to find what's called in the document and on your body, the iliac crest and the patella. So that's your hip point and your knee. And we want to find the halfway point to ensure that the knee is coming up high enough. So if you see your participants starting to get tired and having their knees lower, you just say knees up. And then if they can't bring their knees up because they're too tired, that's fine. They can keep marching it out, but you don't count those until they get their knees back up. You also instruct them when a minute has passed and they have 30 seconds to go. So those are your cues. And the way that you can use the meter stick is you can have it on the wall, measuring halfway between the patella and the iliac crest, or the kneecap and the hip point. Or you can take the meter stick off the wall and you can ask your participant to face forward, and you can measure from hip to patella, and always ask participants before you touch them if you're going to touch them, or just be nearby. And we're finding the halfway point, so taking the measurement and then cutting it in half. For Liv would be a 9-inch step on here, so I would need to have some way to visually see that. And you can move the meter stick with you, you can place the meter stick on the ground, or you can tape the meter stick on the wall. With those instructions, let's get started and begin. And knees up. One minute down. Thirty seconds to go. back up. And stop. So the most important things for the 2-minute step test is to remind them when 1 minute has passed, 30 seconds to go, to keep the knee height up with a gentle reminder of knees up, and to ensure that they have a wall for safety, and that they can always break if needed. The next station after the 2-minute step test is to move on to our lower body flexibility test, which is called the chair sit and reach on your protocol. First, you demonstrate for your participant what you're expecting, see if they have any questions, and then let them practice for 2 trials. We also have a handy dandy meter stick that I'll explain how it can help in just a moment. So we'll have you come towards the edge of the chair, plant your feet firmly into the ground. Pick whichever leg you think is more flexible in the back of the thigh or the hamstring muscle group area. Toe towards the ceiling, heel on the earth. From here, we want you to lift through your chest and squeeze your shoulder blades together and place your hands one on top of the other. We just call this a dolphin hand pose. You'll inhale and exhale, reach towards your toes, and then come back up. We want them to hold that for 1 second. Some variations we often see with this, even with those instructions, is an inhale and an exhale arching or rounding. So try to avoid this arching of the upper back. Or we'll see an inhale and an exhale, but rather we can use the meter stick on the inside of the leg to encourage the participant to glide down towards their toe. So an inhale and an exhale down the meter stick towards your toe. Come back up, take a 30-second break, and try for trial 2. Now we'll show you what that looks like with Liv demonstrating. Which leg would you like to use?
I'll choose my left leg.
Okay, so you also want to invite your participant to come towards the edge of the chair, and then if they're towards the middle or the back, that's going to feel a little strange on the back of the thigh, so we want to have them come forward, toe towards the sky, and you can have your meter stick on the inside of the leg, palms on top of each other, squeeze your shoulder blades together, proud chest, you'll inhale, and as you exhale, you reach towards your toe. So anything at the toe is a 0. Anything before the toe or far closer to the individual is a negative, and anything past the toe is a positive. You can move your meter stick up. You can also move your meter stick to bring the measurement from the fingertip to the toe, or you can use a short ruler if that feels better for you. But either way, it's the amount of inches, not the number listed on your meter stick. So the toe is always 0, in front of the toe is a negative score, and past the toe is a positive score. Take a 30-second break and we'll do it one more time. And bring your left leg back out, heel on the floor, toe towards the ceiling, palms stacked on top of each other, squeeze your shoulder blades together, excellent. Inhale and exhale towards your toe. Hold for 1 minute. And release. Record the second trial and move on. Our next station is testing our upper body flexibility, really looking at that shoulder rotation. We will invite our participant to stand at a T, arms out, wrists in line with shoulders. Liv will choose which arm she wants to lift up and rotate around, and that's going to be her left hand. As she inhales, as she exhales, she windmills that hand behind her and then aims to bring her fingertips together. You take your ruler or your meter stick and you measure the space between the 2 middle fingers. In this case, we have a distance of 2.5 inches, and because there's negative space, that's a negative number. Come back out to a T, inhale and exhale, come to a 0. So now the 2 fingertips are together, that would be a 0, and then release, and inhale, exhale, overlap. So when the fingertips overlap, that's a positive score, and we're trying to see the distance of overlap and that's 1 inch exactly. Inhale and demonstrate one more time with what we will typically see with our participants is a distance closer to this where they're reaching one palm towards a shoulder and the other hand around their back. You measure from middle finger to middle finger and record the distance. You can use a meter stick or a ruler, whatever feels more comfortable for you. The final station is the 8-foot up and go. You'll demonstrate for your participant once, ask if they have any questions, and let them do 2 trials with a 30-second break in between. For our final station, it's the 8-foot up and go. You come into your chair is firmly mounted against the wall behind you. You'll be seated, I'll start the timer, you'll go towards the cone, walk around the cone, and sit back down as quickly and safely as possible. So from the chair, you get up, go 8 feet out around the cone, and come back to the chair, and once you sit back down, that's when I'll stop the timer. When you're ready, begin. And take a break. Ready, begin. That completes your functional fitness assessment. The most important part of the 8-foot up and go is that I did not cue Liv as to where her hands needed to be. If she wanted to cross her arms over her chest, she could. She could use her hands as leverage. Whatever your participant chooses to do is fair game in the 8-foot up and go. This is testing their agility and their ability to get out of the chair, around, and back. The most important safety cues are to say to get up as quickly and safely as you can. Some folks will go a little bit faster than others, and that's absolutely okay. They can take whatever speed they want as they interpret quickly and safely. So that concludes the functional fitness assessment that we conduct for our LIFT strength training, aerobic capacity building, and fruit and vegetable consumption program. You complete this at both baseline, so before the program starts, 8 weeks later, or after the program, as well as 6 months later, to see how the program has impacted both short and long-term functional fitness assessments. We have upper body and lower body flexibility and strength, our agility test, as well as our aerobic test and our balance test. So this is a comprehensive way to understand how our program is impacting the functional fitness of the aging adults that we serve. Thanks for watching, and as always, please feel free to reach out if you have any additional questions that we didn't answer during this tutorial. Thank you.